What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson, I'm your host. We're talking some betting trends for Week 15, and boy, do we have a interesting, obvious first topic that we will talk about. Joining me to break down Week 16, excuse me. That's whatever. Tyler, joining me to break down Week 16's odds. Tyler Sullivan, aka Sully. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Will? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm ready for. I don't know what I'm ready for. Playoffs. Yeah.
Christmas, just a little.
Yes, I guess the New Year would be fine.
Yeah.
For being perfectly frank, I'm not a huge fan of the NFL full NFL slate landing on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Yep.
It happens every 3 years, basically, and when it happens, it's like it becomes very cumbersome for relating to your family. And you know who else doesn't like it? Jesus. That's who.
That's true. That's a good point.
Not a fan. Although I think Jesus would appreciate what Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are trying to do by getting into the playoffs, because that would be a water to wine type of miracle.
That is true. Or some, leaves to ayahuasca type of miracle.
There you go. Yeah. Ayahuasca is probably. You know what? We should probably just move on to the betting odds. We start with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I got to tell you, so it's interesting how this works. I don't want to claim that I knew before it came out, because that would be disingenuous. But it is, there was a lot of chatter about Hurts floating around before those reports actually dropped. And you could see it in the line movement. The line, and nobody knew on Sunday night. On Sunday night, the line was Cowboys minus 1.5. And I suggested that it might actually move closer to a pick 'em because because of just that the Cowboys would be deflated, having lost to the Jaguars. Eagles could clinch. The line moved to 3 on Monday afternoon or Tuesday, maybe. Oh no, maybe it was Monday. Because today's Tuesday. And when we're recording this. And I'm really getting my days mixed up here. And then the report came out on Monday afternoon that Jalen Hurts might not play in this game. The line shot all the way up to 6.5 or 7, I believe. It is back down to 5.5. I think that is a result of people not being entire. I think when the line got to 6.5 or 7, people started slamming the Eagles. People were slamming the Cowboys. So there's a bunch of exposure here for the sports books on a middle where it's like Cowboys minus 1.5 and Eagles plus 7, which is just a delightful window to have. That's fantastic. I'm curious. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts for a minute and what this means for the Eagles moving forward. They don't have to beat the Cowboys this week. That's the important thing to understand.
Yeah.
So what do you? I don't think Hurts is playing. Do you?
I don't think so. I don't think, like you said, I don't think that they need him to play. It's not like this is a win or get in or win or let the Cowboys kind of squeak into the NFC's conversation. They can let one go if they really need to. And ultimately, Dallas, because they dropped that game last week, it really puts them behind the 8 ball. They would need an utter collapse by Philadelphia, which I don't see that happening. So
one win in the Phillies clinch division.
Yeah.
And as I pointed out, I think on the show on Sunday night, or at least some point, they get the Saints next week. The Saints hold the Saints first round pick next year. If you can beat the Saints, clinch it, just get some rest against the Cowboys, beat the Saints, clinch the division, and you push the Saints pick higher by beating them, or your pick. You make your pick better by beating them. It's just a delightful little.
That's a nice little
Howie Roseman is definitely aware of that. Is how I would phrase that.
Yeah, and again, we're looking at this Philadelphia team. I think we all consider Gardner Minshew one of the upper echelon backups in the league, right? I mean, I don't know where we want to put him in terms of in terms of the rankings. I don't know if he's Jimmy Garoppolo level when they had Trey Lance or anything like that, but he's still a more than serviceable backup that could keep this game relatively close. I mean, Philadelphia, both these teams 8-6 against the spread this season. Philadelphia has actually been worse on the road. They're 2-5 against the spread on the road. So that does give you a little bit of pause here, obviously. But I do think that there's a world where, and again, the NFL is always weird like this, where Gardner Minshew's perfectly fine and Philadelphia ends up winning this game. Like if we walk away from this, it wouldn't shock me.
Nick Foles won the Super Bowl for him.
Right. And so you look at it a little bit deeper too, and our CBS research team did a great job kind of, dissecting Minshew. In his 2 games with the Eagles, he's played solid. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's, he's got a touchdown ratio of 17-4. He's pretty solid, and especially when you look at his performances against pressure, which obviously the Dallas Cowboys apply an absolute ton of pressure. Since 2019, his touchdown to interception ratio 17-4, like I was saying. His passer rating hovering around 80, which is 4th over that stretch. It's not terrible. And when you have all of the weapons that Philadelphia has around you, a sturdy offensive line, we've talked about their defense a bunch. He just needs to not shoot them in the foot, and this will be a field goal game, I feel.
Sorry, I was trying to listen. Jalen Hurts is actually talking to the media right now, and he's like, he even said, he's like, everybody knows what's going on. It's pretty public. He's like, I don't want to talk about myself. It's like, he's like, but being the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, you can't run from it. It's like, yeah, tell us about your injuries, bro. He said he's taking it day by day. I saw Mike Garafolo tweet that all indications are it will be Minshew, and I agree. Minshew more than serviceable. 22 career starts in just 4 years, and 2 of those years with Philly. When he started last year, he started two starts last year at 1-1. Had 8 starts with Jacksonville in 2020 when he went 1-7. But that wasn't Urban Meyer actually. But still, it was 8 starts, and then had 12 starts in 2019 with Jacksonville. We went 6-6.
Yeah,
pretty good 6-6 with the Jaguars.
And that's what I was saying too. Just if you didn't hear me, the Cowboys apply so much pressure, highest rate in the NFL. Minshew has played well under pressure. I mean, it is since 2019. 1st in touchdown interception ratio, 4th in passer rating.
Yeah.
You have all that cast around you, you'll be fine.
I tend to agree. And I think that's why you saw the line come back down. I think 5.5 is probably like 5.5 makes me think about it. Is like, it makes me hesitate to take either side. Like, it's a much better 7. I'm like, give me the Eagles.
Oh yeah.
And 1.5, I'm like, give me the Cowboys. Obviously, 5.5, I'm like, this is a tough one.
Doesn't it feel? I mean, we've talked about this a bunch, or at least I have. That it feels like Dallas always plays down to their competition. It feels like wherever they find themselves on the line, whether it's Houston, where they're 17-point favorites, they were favorites going into Jacksonville, I believe, last week. It's always a 1-possession game. Things get fluky. Dak Prescott hasn't been sharp over these last few weeks, throwing a bunch of interceptions. If you tell me that this is a field goal game one way or another going into the 2-minute warning, I'd be like, yeah, that's kind of exactly where I thought this game was going to go.
Yeah, and so I think that's where I'd be leaning to. If right now 5.5, I'm taking the points with the Eagles. The total still is at like 46, though. I don't think that's. If it came down, it didn't come down much. Like, I mean, that's a pretty high total for a backup quarterback situation.
And so let's talk about this, piece of it. Because if you want to look big picture, obviously we just do the trends for this week. But let's just say Minshew is phenomenal and is just they cruise. They look like the Philadelphia Eagles. Does that do anything in your mind to hurt Jalen Hurts' MVP case?
Oh, that's a great point. I think him missing these games, any games hurts his MVP case. I believe. I don't know if you saw this. I saw this on SVP SportsCenter last night, but I didn't look it up yet. This is pretty crazy. Have you looked at the MVP awards, MVP odds? Don't look now, because put your freaking hands up, Sully. I don't trust Breach. I trust you. It's not like Breach. I don't trust. So Jalen Hurts was minus 140, right?
Okay,
something like that. Minus 170 maybe. Mahomes is like plus 200 or plus 150, something in that range. Is that probably right?
Sure. Yeah, sounds right.
The injury thing with Hurts is announced. What do you think happened to those odds? Specific numbers wise.
Did it just flip entirely?
It did flip. What do you think Mahomes is right now?
What would you say Hurts was?
Minus 170. Or minus 150-ish.
Is he not? Is he minus 170?
Minus 300.
300?
Yeah. Hurts right now is plus 550 to win the MVP, and Josh Allen also plus 550, Joe Burrow plus 550, and then Justin Jefferson into a 150 to 1. That is an overreaction to me.
Yeah, that feels a little overreactionary to me. I mean, at this point, we don't even know if he's necessarily out yet. Like,
correct, we don't know if he's out yet. I still think voters will want to reward him for this incredible season if the Eagles go on but there is a very good chance that he ends up missing week 18 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if he misses week 16, if he misses week 16 and Gardner Minshew and they win with Gardner Minshew, there's no real reason to bring him back for the rest of the year unless you just really want to let him get the MVP.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you have a shoulder strain, now on the other hand, it's like, and again, just sort of look at it globally, it's like if you sit him this week and Minshew wins and you clinch, because if they win this week, they clinch home field advantage. They clinch the number 1 seed. They clinch the division. Obviously, they're already in the playoffs. There's nothing left for them to play for. They're not undefeated. Your quarterback has a shoulder injury. So my point is, like, would you rest him? Would you let him stop playing football for a month? Because that's a long time.
I was going to say that's a big stop-start when you're talking about. I was going to say when you're talking about the first round bye as well. That feels like a little bit too long for me. I mean, really, it's week 18 and then the bye is the big question, obviously, in terms of stopping. I think he plays week 17 if he's healthy. I don't know if you hold him out there because, like you're saying, that just feels like way too much time to miss to then all of a sudden rev things back up to try to go win a Super Bowl. You kind of want to keep that rock skipping at least a little bit.
So week 16 was actually last year was also a Christmas game. So we had like 3 Christmas games. The Sunday was the 26th, right? So you got, let's just say for the sake of argument, you got the 26th, and then I'm just looking at the schedule. When the number 1 seed played for the first time, be Sunday, January 23rd. You're talking like almost a full month of football.
Yeah,
that's a really, really, really long time. Like to not play football. It's a tricky situation.
I mean, you know that Hurts is going to want to play. He's going to want to try to solidify that MVP.
No doubt about it. And I think he wants to be out there for his teammates, and he doesn't want. But I mean, like you can't. And again, it depends. Like, is it something where sitting him out is just prolong? Like, is it actually recovering, or is it just prolonging possible future injury? I don't know. It's just it's a weird situation, man. I don't know how you handle it because. Like it would always be better if you were just in a dogfight for the playoffs,
right?
Like,
and it's just the choice is really made for you.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you could play him you could sit him week 16, week 17, hope you win one of them, but then you have to come back and you're like, you have to, if you lose both, then you have to win week 18, or else Dallas could potentially steal the division, or San Francisco or Minnesota could steal the 1 seed. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess the decision could be made for you this week if you do lose to Dallas because you want to completely shut the door and then you play in week 17.
Right.
Because you all of a sudden don't want to have Minshew play these next 2 weeks. He loses, and then you kind of got to throw Hurts back out there in week 18 when you could have rested him for 2 weeks then instead of the 2 weeks prior.
Yeah. So actually, it would be the team that would be hawking them down. I guess it'd be who is it? It's 81% first round bye. Who am I missing here? Who's the other? The Cowboys? Or is it I guess it'd be the Vikings, maybe?
Could the Niners get in there? No, I don't think
so. Niners get in there, I think. Okay. Yeah, I mean, they could, yeah. They it's still a really good chance that the Eagles would get the 1 seed, even if they lose 2 straight. But if they lose out and the Cowboys went out, the Cowboys get the Vikings are the Vikings would be the favorite. Wow. Mm. Huh. So yeah, interesting. I don't know, man. It's tough. I don't know how you handle it if you're Dick Sirianni. I think what you want to do is just hope that I would not play Jalen Hurts this week.
No, I wouldn't either. I mean, again, it's tricky because this is one of those games that kind of felt like it was building towards. You have Micah Parsons talking about Jalen Hurts and all of this other stuff leading into this game. And you wanted to finally see this head on head because obviously earlier in this season, it was Cooper Rush for Dallas. Yep. So we haven't seen Dak Prescott, the Cowboys fully healthy, going up against Jalen Hurts and the Eagles fully healthy. This kind of felt like it was going to be
losing to the Jaguars. If they don't lose to the Jaguars, then maybe you're still rolling them out there.
Yes, I think that's exactly true.
Yep. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we will talk some more trends for this coming week. Next.
Huddle up, NFL fans. It's almost Nickmas.
Merry Nickmas. Nickelodeon and the NFL are teaming up
for the ultimate holiday gift.
The Nickelodeon NFL Nickmas game.
I got 3 words for you. Broncos, Rams, and Santa.
Ho, ho, ho. This is going to be the best Christmas ever. It's the Denver Broncos taking on the Los Angeles Rams in the Nickelodeon NFL Nickmas game. Christmas Day at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific. Only on Nickelodeon.
Oh, yeah, baby. Nickmas. MVP. Russ. First Baker. Can't wait. Make sure to watch on Nickelodeon. Pretty sure you can stream on Paramount Plus. Check it out. If you're listening to the podcast, you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about. We had a commercial for the Nickelodeon game on the video show, youtube.com/pick6. Okay. I think we'll know more. We'll know more about what the Eagles want to do, what they plan to do when we get a little bit closer to the weekend. And again, he can play this week. I wouldn't rule that out. I mean,
no. And I mean, if all of a sudden he decides to play, I wouldn't play him either. But if he plays, do you feel better or worse about that number really quick? If
they feel good enough to play him, then I want the 5.5.
Exactly.
And I think that's why it came back off the 7. People were like, look, he ain't even ruled out yet.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't, it's not like it's a broken collarbone, we don't know the extent of it. But yeah, I'd be taking a peek at plus 550 MVP odds too.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Bengals Patriots. This would be a much spicier game. Like 2 years ago.
That's true.
Like, I don't even know. I mean, the Patriots are the ending to that Patriots game. I mean, I feel so bad for Jacoby Myers. He's just been getting blitzed by everybody.
Well, this is the thing. You have
Ray Lewis in the Manning cast that he was going to show him something at practice that he wouldn't want to see. Like,
I mean, you know what it is though. You have Jacoby Myers and obviously Ramondre Stevenson, the two kind of perpetrators on that
parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't even have been in that game if it wasn't for those two players either. So as much as they blew that game, it was Ramondre ripped off the big run, and then Myers had a big catch on their touchdown play in the second half. As much as you don't want to kind of even things out and say it's a wash because it's not, because they lost the game on that play. But those two guys,
that's coaching.
Yeah.
Your quarterback's coach, your offensive coordinator is a former defensive coordinator, and your quarterback's coach is a former special teams coach for your team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you telling your offensive players if not, hey, the game is tied, don't do the pitchy woo woo?
Yeah. This team right now is not a well coached football team.
Crazy.
And it's weird to say because Bill Belichick's the head coach, but they just are not. Like you were saying, the offensive coordinator was a defensive coordinator. The special teams coach is now a quarterback's coach. It just feels like everything's out of whack, and it feels like Mac Jones has been visibly frustrated over these last few weeks. And it just feels like it's going to trend in a wrong direction. And next up, they have the team that is not only a legitimate threat in the AFC, but they are the best team in the NFL record-wise against the spread in the Cincinnati Bengals. It just seems like this is a blowout.
You think so?
I think so. I think this is a kind of nail in the coffin kind of game for the New England Patriots, even though it kind of felt like that was last week with Chandler Jones scoring that touchdown.
What it feels like to me is one of those Bills games over the last 2 years or so where it's like, oh, Bills are trying to come and take the division from Belichick and he's not gonna let him have it, and then the Bills come in and just take no, we have a better roster and we have the quarterback, and you no longer have your magical Tom Brady powers, so give us the division, give us the win. We don't care if it's in Foxborough or not. Could definitely see Joe Burrow wanting to make a statement in this game too.
Not only that, it's, as much as we're talking about Jalen Hurts and all those MVP odds, Joe Burrow could sneak in there as well. There is a path here for Cincinnati to get the number 1 seed in the AFC. They still have Buffalo next up on their schedule. We've seen both Buffalo and Kansas City kind of flirt with losses on games where they shouldn't even, they were double-digit favorites in. If one of these teams slips up, obviously Cincinnati already has the head-to-head tiebreaker with Kansas City from earlier in the year. If all of a sudden they beat Buffalo, you're talking about them creeping up into the 1 seed. And if you look up and Joe Burrow goes nuclear over this last month, I don't know where that puts him in terms of the MVP conversation, but I feel like it's a lot higher than he is right now.
I think Joe Burrow can win the MVP easily. Yeah. Like this is a Jalen Hurts was the favorite, I guess. Jalen Hurts can still win it. Patrick Mahomes is the favorite. I don't think Mahomes has distanced himself to the point that he should be minus 300. Like he's been very good. He's going to be on everybody's ballot. But both Josh Allen and Joe Burrow could just light up the final 3 weeks of the season, steal the number 1 overall seed by virtue of their quarterback play. And if that happens, they will get the votes for MVP, particularly if Jalen Hurts doesn't play 2 of the next 3 weeks.
And as we've seen it over the last few years and all of that, this is a very
Recency
recency
bias.
bias award. The hot hand towards the tail end of the season wins it more often than not. And we're still kind of up in the air. As much as Hurts has been the kind of wire to wire pick, as we're seeing right now, clearly things can flip on a dime, and not only flip, but like flip dramatically with the odds that Patrick Mahomes has right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like a Hurts injury that is like fairly nebulous completely flipped the whole thing, which is just it's just wild. Yeah, I would look at. I wish I'd gotten some Burrow to win the MVP earlier. I'm probably going to get some more Josh Allen. I've got a little bit of that now. I think you could see very easily Josh Allen. I think voters want to give it to Josh Allen, and 3 just great weeks from Allen. He's playing much better, coming off the injury pretty well, and yeah, I think voters would be interested in giving to him. I actually see him at 8-1, and Burrow at 8-1.
That's nice.
I got some Bengals at 12-1 to win the Super Bowl, or 15-1 to win the Super Bowl. I feel. I mean, I don't know how good you can feel about it. They're playing great football, so I'm not upset about it by any stretch of the imagination. They're 7.5-1 now. If they smoke the Patriots, is that and what is? It's hard to remember when these games are specifically. Is that game
1 o'clock Christmas Eve?
Okay, so sort of just a kind of
in the middle of.
That one might be on C. That one might be on CBS.
Probably is. Let me see.
So local. I'm just thinking like locally for me. I mean, you'll get it locally, obviously, but the Lions play the Panthers on Christmas Eve. And what time is? There's a whole. Washington is at 4 or 5. Interesting. So that might very well be the Patriot. That might very well be the main CBS game at 1 o'clock.
Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I think people will love to watch the nail be put in the coffin for the Patriots nationally, and you have one of the hottest teams in the AFC in Cincinnati going right now. That makes a lot of sense to me. And so
it's one of only 3 games in that 1 o'clock window, along with the Giants, Vikings, and Seahawks, Chiefs, that feature 2 teams at 500 records, 500 or better records. So yeah, could make total sense. And if Burrow has a monster game on Christmas Eve that a bunch of people watch, like it's, you're talking about like you're getting it all over the Northeast, you're getting it all over the Southeast potentially, obviously all over. Like if big swaths of the country watch Joe Burrow light up Bill Belichick defense on Christmas Eve, I think his MVP odds will drop down to like 2-1.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. And then again, you look at this team in Cincinnati, 11-3 against the spread this season. That's the best in the NFL. Patriots 3-3 against the spread at Gillette Stadium this year. It's just, I know the 3.5 might scare some people. I think you lay that easily.
Okay, you're the expert on the Pats. I look. Sometimes when your team stinks, and when you know. Jags and Jets. Jags are 4-1-1 against the spread over this Lawrence hot streak of 6 games. What a massive game for Jacksonville. It's the Thursday night game. They're at the Jets. It's also like a huge potential coming out party, I think, for Trevor Lawrence, in the sense that, we know that he's been playing really well the last few weeks, and everybody else might not know that. He could come out and just really light them up and I think sort of change the national perspective of the Jacksonville Jaguars. But then again, the Jets may slow them down.
Yeah, and not only that, we have Zach Wilson in this game because Mike White has already been ruled out. So you got the number 1 overall pick from the 2021, right? 2021 NFL draft, and this number 2 overall pick in the 2021 NFL draft going at it. Obviously, 2 very different roads for these quarterbacks to get to this game.
Extremely.
But yeah, when you're talking about Lawrence, I totally agree with you. This feels like a coming out party on the national stage. The Jaguars are 4-1-1 against the spread over this streak with them, and they are very much within striking distance of getting the AFC South title. So for me, you look at what Lawrence has been able to do over this stretch. 111.2 passer rating. He's completed over 70% of his passes in these last 6 games. I just don't know how you fade them at this point. Yes, New York has a just absolutely tough defense, but ultimately, I do feel like this is the type of player that generationally can come out here and just kind of defy those things. So that's kind of where I look at with Jacksonville. I know New York obviously has been, solid defensively, and they played well under Mike White, and Zach Wilson was okay over the last few weeks, but I don't know if I necessarily feel great about them at all in this game, especially if I get this correct, and I'm going to look it up. I do think, yeah, the New York Jets are laying 1 point in this game, which kind of is interesting. Jaguars obviously getting a point, the total 38. I would love to get the Jaguars here at minus 105. That's kind of where I look at with the Jaguars in this one, but ultimately it does feel like this shouldn't be close as much as Lawrence has been solid here. And I think we lost Brinson. I was talking too much. I didn't even notice Brinson was gone.
Yeah, I think we did lose Brinson for whatever reason.
Oh, sorry about that, Nada. He's loading up now. My fault. We can probably just stop, just cut it in when he gets back, right?
Well, we are live, so there is that part.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it when he gets in here. He said he's loading up now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Don't worry. I was talking all about the Jaguars. I look up and you're gone.
Yeah, no. I said a slight message. My Chrome crashed. We're going to test your filibuster skills. Anyway,
I went for a second. And I was like, oh, he's gone.
Yeah, no. I didn't mean to leave. This my 2010 iMac can't update Chrome, and so crashes repeatedly. Kansas City. Talk Chiefs.
Sure.
Chiefs Seahawks. KC is 1-4-1 against the spread at Arrowhead. That's unbelievable.
I mean, I think that it's interesting when you look at Kansas City and when you look even like the Bills too in this game when they're going to Chicago. Both of these teams, juggernauts in the AFC, laying around 9.5, 9 points. Both of them, but specifically with Kansas City, you think that that's kind of a pretty big number. But Kansas City 1-4-1 against the spread at Arrowhead this season. Haven't been a good bet at home.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's crazy, man. It's like almost. I don't really get the minus 300 thing with Mahomes as the MVP,
right?
Because I mean, it almost feels like people are saying, okay, there's really no one else.
Mm-hmm.
Like just sort of like they're defaulting to Mahomes, which if that's the case, minus 300 is a very weird number.
And I don't even think that it's really like, oh, we're overlooking him because he's so great. He set such a high standard that, it's almost like what Tom Brady's been, for years, Aaron Rodgers, all these elite quarterbacks, you almost gloss over these great seasons because it's not up to their standards. I don't even know if we're necessarily there with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying he's had a bad season, obviously, by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know if he's...
Yeah, he leads the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns. He's completing a ton of his passes.
But I don't know if he's like having this runaway type of season like the odds would indicate, is what I'm saying.
No, I agree completely. I think that's sort of the thing for me. He's had like some huge highlight moments. They're 11-3, but yeah, it's weird. It doesn't feel like I feel like he should be minus 110.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and even then I would be hesitant to bet it. I think that because Mahomes has won the MVP before, because the Chiefs are, and we look at the Chiefs and they barely beat Houston. They let Denver hang around. They lost to Cincinnati. They barely beat the. I mean, they've just been involved in all these close games. Like they. I'm just like they've got like I think 2. They blew out the 49ers. That was a while back. Took care of Tampa a little bit. They lost to the Colts.
Well, I'll tell you this, Will. In their past 7 games, 0-6-1 against the spread.
Yeah, they're not covering at all.
No.
And I think it matters. Maybe that matters more in like my mind or like our minds is how we're like perceiving the team as a whole. Because again, Mahomes is playing great.
Yeah,
but it's just not like. I mean, he had like a 3-pick game against the Broncos. I don't know. There's something. It doesn't feel like the odds don't feel like a true reflection of what their performance has been and what we can expect. So I think I would be inclined to take some of the plus money on the other players, on the other quarterbacks there, and then you hope that that you get Hurts. If Hurts plays, if Hurts is going to play, that those odds will flip back again. I think.
Yeah,
because Hurts was the likely MVP winner.
And just to hammer it home, if Hurts doesn't play the rest of the season, there is still a world where he wins the MVP.
Yeah, I think
it's less likely.
Yeah,
but there's still a world.
I think, and remember, these voters can put down 3 names. So even if somebody like, and I mess around with Pete all the time, but I'm not like trying to rip Prisco. But like if Prisco says, like Mahomes is my guy. I think Mahomes should win. In the past, he would have put down 1 name, Mahomes, and Mahomes gets 1 point. Now he can put down Mahomes, and he's probably going to say, I'm going to reward, depending on how Josh Allen and Joe Burrow finish, like I'm going to put one of those guys there. And then Hurts will get a lot of either second or third place votes from people who wouldn't vote for him anyway, which keeps you in the running. And there's going to be some people who say Hurts' season was too dynamic, too awesome not to be rewarded with an MVP. If you miss the final 3 games, I think it will be tough. But we do have the Bills at the Bears. I mean, Josh Allen could go absolutely nuclear in that game.
Yeah.
The 1:00 games, man. So Sunday, it's Christmas Eve, 1:00. Mahomes gets the Seahawks, Burrow at the Pats, and Allen at the Bears. That is some spice for that MVP race. Because the Eagles aren't until 4:00. And if they win with Gardner Minshew, that's going to ding his case a little bit. Where if one of those quarterbacks can absolutely take over the MVP race with a monster 1:00 Christmas Eve performance.
Yeah, and I mean you're talking to Allen too. It's not like that Chicago defense is anything
super
crazy. I mean, it's like I know that they kept things close last week with Philadelphia, and that's kind of what I was going to point to here. The Buffalo is 2-6 against the spread of their last 8 games, but I do feel like this is one of those games where you can kind of say, all right, this, like you're saying, Josh Allen could go nuclear in this game, especially with the MVP hanging in the balance, with the number 1 seed possibly in the balance for them to rise up. This feels like a good spot to me for Buffalo, even though that's a big number on the road.
Yeah, I think Buffalo goes. I think voters really want to give it. I think a lot of voters would love to give it to Allen or Joe Burrow, and they'd be fine if we give it to Hurts if he plays the rest of the season. But Allen and Joe Burrow are easy for voters to get on board with it, so it wouldn't be shocking at all if they tried to, talk yourself into them, the narrative of that. Speaking of the Bills and the Bears, the Bills have also not been great against the spread lately, have they?
No, they haven't.
2-6 against the spread in their last 8 games. What would you lay the points there with the? That's a lot of points.
I think so. Again,
9 points
like you say, 9 points. That seems like a big number. I still think I would, just because I do think that Buffalo has the ability to kind of explode at any given moment, but especially with that Chicago defense not being great. Justin Fields can kind of break a game open, I guess, just because of his raw ability. But I do think that this defense is capable enough, Buffalo's.
Yeah, good with linebackers where they can kind of chase him down in theory. Yeah, I mean, and yeah, if they play a lot of front-facing zone stuff, maybe Frazier operates that, like that can help slow down Fields. Fields is a freak. It wouldn't be shocking if he backdoored it. 9's a ton of. I mean, I think I'm kind of inclined to take the 9 points with a home dog just because, this season underdogs have been hitting so much that even the Seahawks is 9.5. I mean, of course, am I worried about taking the 9.5 against Mahomes, possibly lighting up this terrible? The Seahawks defense that's terrible again. Yeah, of course, but 9. I mean. You get any kind of lead going in the third quarter, maybe except for 33 points. That would be But I guess the Colts still covered, didn't they? The
Yes,
Vikings.
the Colts. Yes, they covered. Or yeah, I guess it depends on when you got it, but I believe they covered.
They held on to that 33-point lead to cover. Unbelievable.
It's all some people care about.
Hey, Jeff Saturday's a great coach. Don't have to be. He's not a good coach. He's a great coach. Or he's not a great coach. Yeah, exactly. You get the point. All right. Anything else on the futures? I'm trying to think what the Super Bowl futures. There's some teams. Oh, what the hell? Really? Caesar. All right, look, I'm gonna tell you this. I got made fun of on the podcast for this last night. I took the Green Bay Packers at 101 to win to win the NFC.
Okay.
Last night. It is now they're 125. They're 125 to 1 to win the Super Bowl now. 60 to 1 to win the NFC after last night. I think a lot of people kind of hammered this around the and they don't control their own destiny at all. Can't win and get in. But man, I mean, it's like Hurts is banged up. The Vikings are vulnerable, clearly. The 49ers have Purdy. The NFC champion stinks. The Cowboys are beatable. And then if the Lions, Seahawks, Giants, Washington, like if you get Aaron Rodgers for 3 games in the playoffs at 100 to 1.
I don't hate it. I mean, I don't hate it from a value standpoint. Obviously,
I don't think it's going to happen. Right.
Extremely difficult for it to go down. But like, I don't know, is like you're saying, because it's in the NFC, things could get a little wonky. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not like there's these juggernauts of quarterbacks, the Mahomes, the Allens, the Burrows.
I wouldn't take it if he was in the AFC.
Yeah.
And that's why we didn't take me and my buddy David didn't take the Super Bowl either.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like 125 to 1. Nobody's peppering the Super Bowl because it's like if the Packers get the Chiefs or the Bills or the Bengals, they're going to get slaughtered. I did, Sully, take a couple. I guess I had a few cocktails last night. Let's see what the I had the so I took the Packers 100 to 1 to win the NFC. I'm not going to say where I took it because I'll get in trouble, but let's just say that I actually moved the line.
Wow.
Yeah. I went back and looked at it. 5 minutes later, it was down to 60 to 1 before the game started. Then I took Packers Chiefs Super Bowl 250 to 1. Like as an exacta or a box exacta, I guess it would be, because doesn't matter who wins. Packers Bills 190 to 1. Packers Bengals 400 to 1. And Packers Chargers 1,200 to 1. And then just because I was feeling frisky, I took the Lions Jaguars Super Bowl matchup 1,300 to 1.
Wow, you really were going after it, weren't you?
Yeah.
Well, I'll ask you this because Caesars has this too, and I think we talked about this like probably in the middle of the season. They have the champion versus the field prop on there. And so it's the Bills, Eagles, or Chiefs to win the Super Bowl this year. That's -135. The field is +115. That enough juice for you to look that way?
I think so. Bills, Eagles, or Chiefs. So you get the Bengals, 49ers, Vikings, Cowboys. I'm trying to think what other like teams I actually think can win the Super Bowl. Chargers can win the Super Bowl. Packers. I mean, Ravens, Titans. Yeah.
Like you're riding
probably.
You're going with you're riding pretty hard with like Cincinnati at that point, and I think that's the team you feel best about.
Yeah, you also would love to get the Bengals to jump the Chiefs, which is possible because they have the tiebreaker, and get the number 2 seed.
Yeah.
Because then Buffalo and Kansas City would have to play each other before they could play the Bengals. So the Bengals would only have to play one of those teams. And you'd basically
you're eliminating one of those teams right there.
I mean, and that could easily happen.
Sure. Of course it could.
Chiefs have to lose one.
I was looking around to see if, they don't have it right now on Caesars, but I want to see if I can sprinkle some more on the number 1 overall seed, because I think Cincinnati could easily rise up there.
Let's see. What do they have? Let's see if we got that anywhere. I also think Packers Jaguars as the Super Bowl matchup. 3,850 to 1.
Ooh.
But $5 down to win $19,000. I don't expect to see that $5. Let me see if I can just find this elsewhere. The number 1 overall seed. I agree with you. I think that's a yeah. I don't think it's. I don't see that anywhere. I wouldn't mind that.
I wondered
all.
if it was taken off the board because of the Hurts injury.
Yeah, they might just like yeah. So the Bengals have Pats. They host the Bills, and then they host the Ravens. Where's the Chiefs lost though? I don't know, man. The Chiefs losing one of those games.
I don't know. They have an easy schedule.
Host
Down
the
the stretch,
Seahawks, host the Broncos at the Raiders. So the Chiefs would have to lose one. If the Bills lose one to the, so if the Bills lose to the Bengals, then I think that makes the Chiefs really likely to get the 1 seed. I think Chiefs then book at 60%. If they win, yeah, if the Bills lose to the Bengals and the Chiefs win out, then the Chiefs get the 1 seed. So, but
they drop one of those games and Bengals beat the Bills and they went out. You're talking about them as the number 1 seed.
But also, maybe more importantly, if back to your point about the field bet, if the Bengals beat the Bills, then the Chiefs would be the 1 seed. The Bengals would move to the 2 seed because they'd have the tiebreaker over the Bills by virtue of beating them head to head.
Yes,
so
that's true.
If the Bengals went out, if the Chiefs went out, Bengals went out, and the Bills go 2-1, we would get that situation where the Chiefs are 1 and the Bills are 3, with the possibility of them being 2 and 3 and the Bengals being 1, getting that bye. And then then what was the odds the last time you saw it?
For what? The Bengals 1 seed?
Yeah.
I forget what it was. I think it was. I mean, this is a while ago now.
Right.
I couldn't even give you the right. I couldn't even give you the right one.
Right, 15
I remember it was. I remember being like, "Oh, that's interesting."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, a lot of drama to play out. Hurts injury, and then of course all this business in the AFC. We'll be back. Brady Quinn football show tomorrow. Be back every day for the rest of the time. Sully, as always, a pleasure, buddy. Thanks for holding it down while my Chrome crashed. Thanks for the pod. We'll talk soon, man. For Sully, I'm Brinson. See you guys later.